Harrison here with Simply Sweet and Ink Designs. Are you ready for our craft along? We're going to be playing with the beautiful pumpkins bundle to make 4 fall themed projects. So if you ordered the pre-cut kit, hopefully you got the prepping guidelines so that you are ready to craft along with the 4 projects we're making today. If not, I do have the tutorial available in my PDF store that you can purchase and then prep and provide your own supplies and just craft along. Come back, watch the replay, and you can craft along with me. All right, so I'm going to flip over my chat so I can see comments as you hop on. I know it's going to take a minute for you to start getting the notifications, so I don't want to start without anybody. But I'm just going to, while we're waiting, I'm going to go on ahead and I'm just going to share some information with you. Just a really quick reminder. It's maybe backwards for y'all, but hopefully you can still read. Starter kit special. What do we only have? 4 days, 3.5 days left of it. Amazing deal, guys. You're going to be able to select $125 in products of your choice for only $35. Stampin' Up! Has, in 37 years, never, ever had a promotion this amazing. And one of the things that I get a lot of people that I'm talking to, they're like, but I just want to be a hobbyist. I just want to buy for myself. You can totally do that. That is so okay. And I love having hobbyists on my team. Y'all are so creative. So yes, please, if you just want to join for just shop for yourself and enjoy purchasing at a discount and be part of our community, you can certainly do that. All right, I see you are getting the notifications. Hello, my sweet Stampin' friends. Okay, so this promotion, starter kit, ends Friday. Do yourself a favor, don't wait till Friday. Stampin' Up! Has had a record number of people joining, and I think Thursday and Friday are going to be a nightmare. And I'm not talking just Halloween, okay? So, hello, hello, hello. All right, so we're going to make 4 projects today. I have that upside down with the beautiful pumpkins bundle. I actually got this as a prize, this bundle, and I have to tell you, it wasn't on my initial radar the first time, but when I got it and I started playing with it, it is so beautiful. I will tell you, one of my favorite colors is, one of my favorite styles of stamping is 2-step stamping. I love where you stamp an image and you stamp on top. And so that is what you get to do with this. Oh, somebody's asking a question. What class is behind me? Oh, you're talking about that, Katie? That is my November Sweet Creations Club. I'm getting that ready because I leave for Stampin' Up's Backstage Leader Conference on November 10th. I have to get everything out by like the 8th and stuff. So I got to get Stampin' Bunko. I got to get that out. I need to get the November craft along, which stick around. I'm going to share a sneak peek of those projects with you. And they're such cute projects. They're featuring the Pet Love Bundle. So stick around, or if you got to leave, come back. Make sure you check out those projects for November. Okay, so if you order the kit, I sent you a prepping guideline so that you could do some stamping and cutting beforehand so that you would have it ready to go, because we are going to do 4 projects in an hour. Okay, that's my goal. We might go a little bit over, but hopefully not. But if you want to get the tutorial, it is available in my PDF store for sale. Okay, let's go ahead and get started so that we can get into this. I'm going to flip my camera here. Let me move that. Oh, wow, what changed my view? Let me change my angle here real quick. Something is not set right. There we go. Now you can see things better. So we're going to start off with this first card, and it is called Friend Like You. And one of my favorite things, and the reason I wanted to do this class is for the metallic textures rub-ons. Now, I do have to report to you, currently they are on back order. I think they're coming in November 17th, November 24th, something like that. So in about a month, a little less than a month, they should be back in stock. But everybody who ordered the kit, you got a half a pack of those rub-ons in your kit. So we're going to start off. Now, these are the very basic measurements for this project. This is project number 1. So we're going to get the supplies. And for those who got the kit, you had all your cardstock pieces prepped for you ahead of time. You just needed to do a little bit of stamping and cutting of the designer series paper. So hopefully you got a chance to do that. If not, you can go back and you can do that, and you can just kind of watch along or come back. All right, so we do have here, we're gonna start off with a piece of early espresso cardstock that measures 4¼ by 11 inches, scored in the middle at 5½. That is our card base. I see Linda's all prepped. Yay, awesome, Linda. All right, then the next thing, we have 2 layers. We have one layer that's basic white, 3¾ by 5 inches. We're gonna do some stamping and we're gonna add our rub-ons before I adhere it to the gold piece. This piece measures 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. So, and then we'll get to the other pieces here in a moment. All right, so let's do a little bit of stamping. First one is we're gonna stamp the sentiment, and you can stamp any sentiment you want, but this is the sentiment that I used here from the stamp set, Beautiful Pumpkins. So grateful to have a friend like you. What a great sentiment to share with somebody. All right, I'm gonna stamp in Mossy Meadow, but I think Pecan Pie, Early Espresso would work just as well. And so I like to stamp first before I do my rub-ons, because if I mess up, I can just flip. If I mess up my stamping, I can just flip it around and then use the other side before I add on the rub-on. So I'm gonna stamp here in the upper right corner, this sentiment. So grateful to have a friend like you. Okay, got that. Now I'm gonna add the rub-ons. You can choose any rub-ons that you want to use, but there is a little trick to using these rub-ons, a little tip, I should say. And so it does come, and I don't have it all here, but it comes with 2 sheets of this one, 2 sheets of that, and then in the gold, and then same thing, you get 2 sheets in the silver. So I'm just gonna move my silver because I don't even need that anymore. All right, so I'm gonna take this little splotchy part. That's what I used for this particular card. The key to using these rub-ons, you want to make sure, cut out your image that you want to use first before you remove the paper backing, because this is not like the old 70s, 80s rub-ons that we may have grown up with. This sticks very, very fast. So what I'm going to do, just to kind of gauge where I want to put this, is I'm just going to take my piece of Designer Series paper. This measures 2 by 3¾ I'm just going to put it right there, just so I have a gauge where I want to put the rub-ons. So it's basically about in the center of my cardstock piece. So I'm going to remove that paper backing. Once I remove it, basically it is active and ready to go. So I'm just going to lay it down. You can rub it on with your fingers. I like to use my bone folder and just give it a nice little rub there. And then going ahead, and we're going to carefully, just in case something doesn't stick, I can catch it. And there we go. That's it. Beautiful. It's kind of like embossing, but without the heat and all the powder. All right. So next, what we're going to do is we're going to take 2 pieces of Designer Series paper. I already told you the measurements on this one, this striped one. And by the way, this comes from the Autumn Toile Designer Series paper pack. It measures 2 by 3¾ That's going to get glued to the bottom of our white sentiment piece. This piece measures 3/4 by 3¾ and then you can just adjust this up or down depending on how much of the rub-ons you want to show. And we're going to glue both of these down. All right, I think I'm going to bring it down just a little bit so more of the rub-ons show. Okay, next I'm going to do a little bit of a ribbon trick. In your kit, for those who got the kit, you got a spool of this ribbon. I am just going to take a section, I'm going to guess maybe 6-7 inches. I'm going to cut it. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to just run it across here. And then I'm going to secure it in the back with either tape, or you can use a mini glue dot, whatever you have that you want to use. I'm just going to use some tape. I feel like with tape I get it a little tighter. I want it pretty tight. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold off for just a second. I am going to take another piece here in a moment and I'm going to tie a bow, but I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to add my pumpkins first. So I asked you, for those who got the kit, to go on ahead and stamp and die cut your pumpkins and all the little pieces. I have mine already die cut and prepped, but I am going to show you how I got to at least this first one so that you have an idea. So I'm going to take a piece of thick basic white cardstock. I prefer to do there's two images. There is what I call an accent image, and then there is the full image. Now you can probably guess which one's the darker one, right? It's pretty obvious. I personally like to stamp the darker, the accent image first. It just makes it easier visually for me to see the outline when I do it that way. So the accent, I'm going to use Cajun Craze ink. And then I'm going to come in with Calypso Coral ink, which is going to be my full image. And then, see, you can kind of just see it a lot better than the opposite. I've tried doing it where I did the full image first in the lighter color, and I just had trouble seeing it. I'm able to line it up much better. So then you would just stamp your other pieces, which I'll just do that real fast for you. Let's see, we have, in Mossy Meadow, we're going to have 2 leaves. So, and this is going to be Mossy Meadow. Do that. Oops, hopefully I didn't move that too much. There we go. And then in Pecan Pie, I'm going to stamp 2 stems. One's going to be the large stem, and one's going to be the small stem. And I just realized I did not stamp my little pumpkin. We'll just pretend it's there, okay? So you would also stamp the small pumpkin just the same way I did the large pumpkin in those 2 different colors. Then you would just use the dies from the bundle and just die cut out the images. You do that, and then you've got one for that, and you have one for both of your stems, and then one for the leaf. So you would just die cut out those pieces there. Since we already have ours prepped, we're just going to move on and put our project together. So what I'm going to do is I am going to glue on the sentiment. My layer, I'm going to glue it onto the piece of gold paper. Now, do you want to be careful because it tends to slide. For some reason, these metallic papers are very slippery. So I'm just going to lay it down so that I don't make a gooey, ooey mess. And then what we're going to do is we're going to glue this onto our card base. I'm just going to center it. And then at this point, it's just adding on all those fun images that we have stamped and die cut. So the pumpkin, I'm going to have the pumpkin. Pop the large, both pumpkins, I'm going to pop that with dimensionals. And then I am going to add, for my large stem, I'm going to add a mini glue dot just at the top of the stem. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of glue at the bottom just to help stabilize it. And then you can kind of see there's a little spot right here, and that stem fits nicely. So we're going to put that there. Then I'm going to do my leaves. One, I'm going to do the bottom one, I'm going to do flat, and then I'm going to pop up the top one. That's going to go on the large pumpkin. So we'll just have it go right there. And then pop up the other leaf, just kind of on top. All right, then I'm also too going to pop up with dimensionals the small pumpkin. I'm going to have it kind of off here to the side. Oops, I need to move that dimensional over just a little bit. Actually, I don't think I need that dimensional. I'm going to add just one dimensional on the side, and then the other, I'm just going to add a little bit of glue. That's the part that's going to lay on top of the large pumpkin. Now, I do want to allow myself a little bit of room to get in here so that I can snake through a piece of my ribbon. And then we're just going to tie a bow. I wanted to kind of hold off on this step to help those pumpkins stabilize my ribbon. So it was a little bit easier for me to do this bow. So I'm just going to come in, add a bow. This is a way that you can do a bow. You know, if you ever like wrap a ribbon around cardstock, it just has that loose effect, right? Well, this is a way that you can get it nice and taut so that it looks like just like you want it to be. That's just a little ribbon trick there for you. All right. Oops, that is too much ribbon. Too much tail there. Okay, last thing I'm going to do is I do have my little stem for my pumpkin, my little pumpkin here, and it's just going to get glued on. It's too tiny. It's pretty tiny there. All right, so we're going to have that right there. And I think we're done, guys. That is the first card, project number 1. All right, so I'm just going to set this here, give you a few minutes, catch up on this particular card, and then we will move on to project number 2. Let me know if you have any questions at all. Oh, yeah, Shirley, you like that tip with the ribbon? That's actually from my good Stampin' friend, demonstrator friend, Melissa Faust. I learned it from her. I was like, now that's a smart cookie there. So I just borrowed her little tip. But yes, I think it's a cool way because my ribbons, when I try to like tie them around a card, it's always loose. And so I thought that was a great tip to get it nice and tight. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and remove my quick instructions here. And then we're going to move on to project number 2, which is another card. And this one's called Thankful for the Small Things card. It is going to be this card right here. We're going to actually use one of my favorite parts of the bundle, and that is this trailing pumpkin leaves. That just sold me. I love those trailing pumpkin leaves. All right, so I'm going to try to leave this in the corner as long as I can for you while we work on card number 2. Now for card number 2, we are going to take here. It's going to have a card base that is in basic beige cardstock. Now this measures 5.5 by 8.5, and it is scored down the middle at 4 1/4. So right there, there's your base measurements. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take, and I'm just going to move this out of the way while we work on this layer. This is early espresso cardstock. It measures 4 by 5 1/4. Then we're going to take some designer series paper. This measures 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. So it's just going to have a really small border. And then we're going to have 2 more pieces. We're going to have another piece of designer series paper. This one measures 1.5 by 5 1/8. But before I glue it onto this piece, I'm going to take a piece of gold paper that measures 1 by 5 1/8. And I'm just going to give a simple little gold border behind my brown check designer series paper. Now, a little paper saving tip, if you want to save your designer series paper, you don't have to have it totally 4 inches. You could go maybe about three and a quarter, 3.5 inches, so that you can conserve some of your designer series paper. I just like to do the whole thing so that I know that I have it where I want it. So I'm going to go ahead, let's start building our layers here. And then I'm going to add some glue to the top of my brown check. And then I am going to line it up. I'm probably going to have roughly about 1/4 of an inch showing. Now I'm going to give this a moment because it is very, very, very slippery. So while this glue is setting up, I am going to work on the stamping. So for the stamping, what we're going to do is, if you have the kit, you have this label cut from, what's it called? It is called, it's one of my favorite ones too. I know you're probably going to beat me to it. What is this one called? It is called Branching Out Dies. So this is roughly, let's see, what's the measurement here? Now, if you don't have this, you can use a rectangle. You can just do a simple rectangle. It measures 2.5 roughly by 3 7/8. So we're going to do some stamping, but if you will notice, when I do my stamping, I want to leave room for my rub-on so that I can do a little line accent of the gold there. So I'm going to take the sentiment from the beautiful pumpkins, thankful for the small things. I'm stamping in Mossy Meadow ink. But again, I want to make sure that I leave room for my gold. So I'm going to, about right here where the curves are, I want to stamp kind of above that. And that should leave me enough space right there. Now, if you have this and you have stamped, go on ahead and clean it off now, because we're going to use it in the next project, but we're only going to use one of the words, and that's the first word, thankful. So we want to make sure it's clean and dry before we do the next project. All right, now let's go on ahead. Let's take this section here, and I'm going to use this little dotted line. You can go as far as you want. Trying to think what I did there. I went to about right there. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 dots right there. So I'm going to cut out what I need. And then carefully line this up underneath my sentiment. Center it. And just rub that on. How pretty. Isn't that pretty? Just all nice and shimmery. Okay, I think this is now set up enough. I'm going to move this, guys. Hopefully, if you need to, you can come back and watch the replay if you need to catch up on this card. Okay, I think this is set up enough. So I'm going to glue this gold layer with the brown designer series paper. I'm going to glue it onto the bottom of my striped paper here. So it's going to go right here. And then we can just glue it onto our card base. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to come back to our sentiment label. And for this, we are going to take the die cut trailing pumpkin leaves. There's actually one that's a trailing and then one that is a single leaf with a little bit of the trailing accents there. That's going to go right there. Then we have 3 of the small pumpkins that are die cut. Again, I used Calypso Coral for the accent. I'm sorry, back that up. Cajun Craze ink for the accent and Calypso Coral for the full image on each of these. And then I stamped and I die cut out 3 of the small stems, and that was done in pumpkin or pecan pie ink right there. So that's what you should have right there to be able to build your image right there, your layers. All right, so let's start working on this. So first and foremost, I need to put my trailing leaves on. Let's just add a little bit of glue here. Doesn't require a lot. And we're just gonna have it go across. Now, one of the things I do want to have one of these underneath. So let me go on ahead and do that real quick. This one's going to be flat. So take one of your small pumpkins. Let's go on ahead, kind of line it up underneath right there. Oops, it moved on me. There we go. That way part of the leaf, the trailing leaf, will be on there. Then we're going to come in, we're going to add one of our small stems. Just a little bit of glue right there. And I actually have mine going over the label, the sentiment label there. All right, then the other 2, I'm going to pop up with dimensional. Let's give it some height here. I'm going to put one over here. And then the other one I'm just going to put over here. So they're kind of different heights. And then glue on the stems. Ooh, way too much glue. There we go. Now it's going to be your choice. You can either glue this down flat if you want it a little bit lower for shipping. I just love popping that things up. I usually, though, won't go more than 2 layers on dimensionals height-wise, because then after that, it does start getting a little bulky to mail. But if you want to pop it up, you can pop up your completed sentiment label. And then we're just going to center it on our card front. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to take some of our gold striped ribbon. We're going to make a bow. And we're just going to add it on with a glue dot. And let's just go ahead and accent it right there. Oops, I forgot. I almost forget. Hold on. Forgot about this little guy. Let's go ahead and get him tucked in there too. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glue. And let's go ahead and sneak him underneath right there. That way we just kind of have a little bit of green on this side of the card as well. Now we can put our dot right there, or put our ribbon right there. There we go. All right. So that is project number 2. I will leave that out. Here's project number 1. So we've done these 2 so far. I'm going to take a moment. I'm just going to do a little bit of a cleanup, make some space here, and we'll work on the 3rd project, which is this card right here. Okay. Okay, oops, let's go ahead. I'm gonna move this. We don't need that anymore. So here are the quick measurements for card or project number 3, which is called our Thankful Pumpkin card. Now, for this card, what I did is I took that sentiment that says, thankful for the small things, but we're only going to use the word thankful right here on our sentiment circle. So let me go ahead. I'm going to move both of these. And let's get our supplies in place. Okay, for this one, it's just a really simple fun fold card. So it does have another base that is in basic beige cardstock. It measures though 5.5 by 7.5, and then it is scored right here at 3.25, and that's going to give us that partial card base so that we have that really pretty accent paper, layer from the designer series paper. So before we get started, the first thing we're going to want to do is grab our piece of basic white cardstock that measures 4 by 5.25. And we're just going to do a little bit of stamping, and that's with that really beautiful trailing pumpkin leaves. And that is going to be in Mossy Meadow cardstock. Not Mossy Meadow ink, not cardstock. My brain was jumping ahead. Okay, so in Mossy Meadow ink, we're going to stamp our trailing leaves. So I'm just going to have it go right here in the left corner. And then now what we're going to do is we're going to glue it to the inside, the large section of our card base. So we want to make sure that we have the left section so it folds and it shows. And then we're going to glue this down. And then I'm going to take a piece of that brown check print from the designer series paper pack, and it measures 1.25 by 5.25, and it's just going to be glued right here on the right side of my white layer. There we go. So the inside of our card is done. Now we're going to start working on the outside. Now for the outside, I took probably the prettiest print in this paper pack, and that is that pumpkin print. This measures 3 inches by 5.25, and we're going to glue it right here on our front panel. Then what we're going to do next, now if you have the pre-cut kit, you had these die cut for you. These are also from the branching out dies. This one is in early espresso cardstock, and I was trying to find, I have misplaced my ruler. So let's see. Don't worry, I have like 4 or 5 rollers around me. Okay, so this is roughly 2.5, I think, again, 3 7/8, like the first time. This one is in Cajun Craze cardstock and is 2 1/8 by 3.5. So again, you can use rectangles if you want to. I am just going to glue these 2 layers together. Just what I love about the branching out dies is they do these wonderful layering labels, make really great accents. And so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just glue it flat because I'm going to pop up my circle and my pumpkin. So I don't really like to go more than 2 layers high. So this is going to get glued on flat. Now, if you want to pop this up and have something else be flat, maybe your circle be flat, you could do that. And I almost forgot something, and that is my rub-ons. But you know what? We're just gonna do it here in a minute. I forgot about doing the rub-ons, but that's okay. I'll add it on here in a second. Okay, so for the rub-ons, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this really pretty like starlit print here. So again, cut out the image that I want. And this is really pretty easy. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna lay it right there on the Cajun Craze layer. And this is probably my favorite one of the rub-ons is this one right here. I love this little starlit print. However, there are some little pieces to it. So I would advise that you carefully lift it up. Make sure that every piece, every little section is coming off. I'm having a little bit of a trouble with that one right there. There we go. All right. So then what we're going to do is we're going to take for our circle. This is, I think, what is this? 2 1/8 inch circle in basic white cardstock. And this is where I'm going to, you have two options. And I think, I'm not positive, but I think I may have given you masking. Maybe I didn't. I may have given you masking paper in your kit, but I may not have. But that's okay. You can use a Post-it note if you need to. If you want to use masking paper, you can, just to be sure that you don't accidentally stamp too much. It's kind of like a really light tacky. And what I'm going to do is I am going to take my sentiment. I only want the word thankful. So I'm going to line up right here. I'm going to line up my masking right here. And there's lots of other ways to do it. This is just the way I'm doing it. Take my Mossy Meadow ink. I'm going to stamp the word thankful. Now you could just not use masking and just very, very carefully just stamp along the edge. You can certainly do that, but I'm just going to remove my masking paper and then I'm going to stamp the word thankful towards the top of the circle. Lots of ways to do it. You can use a Post-it note, not use a Post-it note, just gently dab along the edge of your ink pad and just stamp one word. You can do that as well. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take our small pumpkin, again, my favorite part, the trailing leaves. This is in Mossy Meadow cardstock. And we have one of the small stems in pecan pie cardstock. So we're just going to put these together. Now I am going to pop up my pumpkin with dimensionals. Oh, nope, not yet, not yet. Got to put our trailing pumpkin down. Let's put that down first. Put the leaves down first. And don't need it on all of them because some of this is going to overhang a little bit. So I'm going to put this at the bottom, pretty close to the bottom, right there. Then now I'm going to pop up my small pumpkin. And then I'm going to take my little small stem and going to add just a little bit of glue. Right there. All right. So like I said, you could either pop these labels up if you want with dimensionals and then glue your circle flat. In my case, I glued this flat, so I'm gonna pop up my circle with dimensionals. That way I kind of stick to my 2-layer rule on dimensionals. All right, and then we're just going to put this right here at the base. And then we're going to add a ribbon bow. I'm going to glue it on with a mini glue dot. I see Nathan was saying that he likes the star rub-ons too. I do too. What's really cool, there's so many options that you could use. It was really kind of tough to decide which ones I wanted to use. And then we're going to take our glue dot here and just pop up our ribbon right there. If you would like to do a ribbon accent. Sometimes if you feel adding the ribbon is too much for mailing, you can do without the ribbon. So anyway, that is project number 3 right there. That is our third card. Now we're going to do a cider pouch. And I love it. It's probably one of my favorite projects that we're doing today. However, I would have to say this is a close second because I like this one too. I like all of them, but these are my 2 favorites. Okay, so to do the last project, that is going to be our cider pouch. Now, I have apple cider in mine. You can do, I have seen too, there is like, what is it, pumpkin hot cocoa. I would imagine that would fit just as well in this pouch. So if you do want to do something like that to coordinate with the theme of the outside here, you could certainly do that. This is such an easy project. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you on a piece of designer series paper backing. I just cut a piece, and let me get this out of the way so that we have our measurements in place. It's super simple to do. So what you're going to do is I'm showing you on this. I already have mine cut, okay? So you're going to take a piece of cardstock that measures 8.5 by 8.5. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take your paper trimmer and you are going to line up the tips and you're going to cut diagonally. So I have it, I don't think I can get the whole thing in frame. So what you're going to do is you're going to line up the tip here in the trough, and then you're going to line up the other tip in the trough, and you're just going to cut it diagonally to make 2 large triangles. Once you have that, then you're going to take a scoreboard, and the whole length is 12 inches across. What is that called? Is that the hypotenuse? Is that what we call it in geometry? So at the 4-inch and the 8-inch line, you're going to put the straight edge, your hypotenuse, at the very top edge, and you're going to score it 4 and 8 inches. And that is what's going to create our pocket. So then what we would do is we would just fold it, and then we would fold it this way. All right. Now you have 2 options. One, you can either just glue the bottom here, glue these pieces and glue a little bit like tear and tape or some glue at the bottom to create a pocket. I did mine a little bit different because I still feel like sometimes that pocket pops open on my recipient, and I don't want that to happen. So I did something just a little bit different this time. So I just showed you how to come up with your pocket, right? You cut your piece, your 8.5 by 8.5 diagonally, score it on the straight edge at 4 and 8 inches. That's going to create this pocket. So what I'm going to do before I do anything else is I want to add an accent piece right here in the background. To do that, all you have to do, really simple, you're going to take a piece of the designer series paper. It measures 2 3/4 by 2 3/4, and I'm just going to glue that square right there so that you may think that it goes all the way down, but it really doesn't. It's just enough so that it will show an accent piece at the top. So we're going to glue this in. And like I said, I'm going to glue it so it's like a diamond, basically, right here with just a little bit of a border. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, and I'm not going to even bother gluing the bottom. I'm only going to glue just part of this, that kind of like that, right? Oops, that's too much, too much. Let's do a tip here. So I don't want to do a whole lot because I want to be able to, my cider pouch to go in there. So I don't want to glue it closed. All right, so we have this. It is open at the bottom right now. So what I did to close it is I took a piece of the brown check designer series paper. Now this piece measures 4 inches wide by 5 inches long. And so what I did is I scored it down the middle at 2.5 inches. And I am just going to create a band right here. So I'm just going to glue the back and the front, and there you go. It's going to automatically close in that gap that I have at the bottom. So I don't have to worry about it popping open on my recipient. The only thing I do have to be concerned about is I don't add glue in this little V section. So I'm going to start off with adding glue in the back. Let's do that first. That will be the easiest way to get it started. Do that, and then I will basically, goes to about right there, and just add some glue. I could probably go a little bit higher right there. Okay, so there we go. All right, but I want to add my pretty pumpkins, so I really love that paper. So we're going to take a strip, a piece that measures 2 inches by 4 inches, and we're just going to glue it right across the front here just to give a little bit of an accent layer. Now, if you wanted to wrap around, you can, but I wanted to conserve this really pretty paper. Okay, then what we're going to do, let's grab our ribbon. And I am going to take a pretty good length here. And I am out. Oh my goodness, last project. I don't think I'm going to be able to do a bow. I think I'm going to have to do a knot. And I don't have any more ribbon right now. So mine's going to be a knot. Yours can be a bow, whatever you want it to be. And there we go. All right, so mine's a little bit different. That's okay. All right, so I just kind of wrap that around to give it a really pretty gold accent. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take we're going to have here our large circle. This circle measures, it's a pretty large one, 3 inches in diameter. And we are going to add some rub-ons before we put it on. Then we have our large pumpkin stamped, again, in the Cajun Craze and Calypso Coral. Then we have the large pumpkin stem in pecan pie cardstock. Then we're going to have one leaf in Mossy Meadow, and again, my favorite trailing pumpkin leaves, both in Mossy Meadow. So before we put all this together, I'm going to grab this like just hatchwork, this little crisscross. I'm going to cut it out. Now, you don't have to do all of it if you don't want to. You can just use some of it. If you want to cut it in half, maybe conserve it, you can, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use all of it. And I am going to have it just right here. Put it right there on my circle. Isn't that so pretty? Such a pretty accent. Okay, so now I'm going to start building this up. First thing I'm going to do is I am going to figure out, actually, you know what? I think I can. I'm going to pop it up with dimensionals first. I'm just going to leave a little bit of a gap right here so that my leaves can rest behind it. So I'm going to just put some here. I'm going to have my dimensionals a little bit lower. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that right here, put my pumpkin right there. I'm going to add, now that's with dimensional. This is going to get glued flat. Well, Nathan, I saw your comment, improvising, right? When I run out, well, I'm glad I at least had enough to make a knot. I didn't realize I was that close. I went to order more of that striped gold ribbon the other day during the free shipping days. Did anybody do the free shipping? I did. I had a bunch to order, but the ribbon had sold. I had it in my cart and it sold out before I could actually finish my order. All right, so then I'm going to just sneak in that trailing pumpkin vine right there, I am going to add my large stem. Now I'm going to do like I did before. Actually, you know what? Let me do the mini glue dot first. I mean the mini dimensional first. I'm going to add a mini dimensional at the top of the stem, and then I'm going to add a little bit of glue at the bottom. And then I'm going to put it right here. That way it's stabilized on my circle. And then I'm going to just pop up my leaf here, my single leaf, with a mini dimensional. Just add one more little bit of greenery right there. Then I'm going to pop up my circle onto my cider pouch. Now I don't need any dimensionals in here, so I'm just going to kind of make a U with my dimensionals, figure out where the top is right here, and then I'm going to make a U. And there we go. And then we just pop in our cider pouch right there, and then we are good to go. All right. All right, so hang tight. Okay, one, I'm gonna bring back in all the projects that we made today, and then I'm gonna share with you a sneak peek of November's craft along projects, which I love. Oh my gosh, I love them. They're so cute. Okay, so while y'all are finishing up, I'm gonna share with you the 4 projects that we made today. We made 3 cards, and we made a cider pouch. So I'm going to let you hang tight if you don't mind. Let me kind of clean up, make room. I'm going to go grab the projects for next month. I actually did open registration early for next month's projects because I don't know if you caught the beginning of today's live, but I'm getting ready to leave for a Stampin' Up! Leader convention, and I need to get it all mailed before I leave. I was like, oh, I'm going to be leaving that week. I'm going to be gone. Okay, y'all ready? Y'all ready for November's projects? So they do feature it is an online exclusive bundle called Pet Love, and super cute stamped images, cute little dies to go with it. And I love this. You're a possum pet sitter, just so many cute things. And also too, if you need a sympathy card for somebody who lost a pet, you have that sentiment right there. And then just some really cute, I love it. Love comes with 4 paws. And I just love the paw prints, so cute. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and move this. This is October's craft along with the beautiful pumpkins. For November, we're gonna be making 4 projects. Again, 3 of them are gonna be cards. And then one of them is going to be a cute little treat box. And so you will receive in your project packet for order, if you want to order the kit, you will receive, and I only have partials, forgive me, but I do have, you'll get a full pack of the textured stripes mix and match cards and envelopes. There is 10 total, 10 card bases and 10 envelopes. Let's see, and the envelopes are really cute too. So you have your envelopes there that match your card bases. And then you're going to receive also in your packet, now this is a new product coming out next month called Earthy Matte Dots. You're going to receive a full package of that. And then you're also too going to receive a full package of the red and white Baker's Twine. And then of course, you'll receive the cardstock pieces that you will need to stamp and die cut with the bundle, that Pet Love bundle. You will also too receive this craft box. I don't design this because it's too many diagonals to try to score and for you to cut. So I just buy these on Amazon, and you'll be provided the Amazon link if you ever want to buy more of them. To me, it's just as cute and just as easy to do. And then it just works just like a little school time milk carton right there. So all right, guys, and you'll get the clip too that you need for this. You will also too receive just a little bit of the glimmer paper. It's got that really dark color. I think that's Misty Moonlight, silver, That may be Misty Moonlight. I'm not really sure, but just so you have a little bit of sparkle to your cards. All right. So registration for this craft along kit for November with the Pet Love Bundle is open right now until next Tuesday. Very, very short timeline. That will be, what day is that next Tuesday? Is that the 4th? Why am I thinking that's the 4th? Yes, so on Tuesday the 4th, registration will close. I will overnight it on Wednesday the 5th and then get them out in the mail before I leave. Try to get them out in the mail by November 8th. All right, cost for this craft along kit is going to be $46. That does include shipping to you. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me for today's craft along. I hope you enjoyed the projects. Share pictures with me. I would love to see the projects that you made today. Now, if you did not get the kit, that's okay. I also have the PDF tutorial available in my PDF store, and that link is available in the video description. All right, guys, checking comments real quick before I take off for the day. All right, I don't think I'm seeing anything. I'm checking one more time. All right, guys, y'all take care, and we will see you on Friday. I'm actually going to share a project with you with the Pet Love Bundle to kickstart that series. All right, y'all take care. Bye, guys.